Theory and theology, what's up? Please bear with me here. I want to talk about the banks. I've come across some recent information that I am nobody special, okay? So I don't even know why nobody else is talking about this. Nothing on Twitter. There's nothing hardly on YouTube. People are talking about housing, of course, but nobody's talking about the banks. Now, I want to bring to attention, because that's what I'm here to do. I don't know a whole lot, but let me jump into it. I don't want to get into a whole ramble. There's a YouTuber who's mostly into housing, meaning that he holds, accounts with banks, for his properties. He mentioned having, I think, 2.5 million with a bank. I don't know if it was PNG. I don't know. This guy's name is Stephen George, Stephen, and then George spelled the usual way, George. Now, I'm not very I've never come across this guy's content. I think I was recently watching some videos from Peter Schiff. I don't know how this guy's channel got recommended to me, this Stephen George guy. But I only know what he's saying. And then I started hearing something from someone else I know saying that, Union Bank got absorbed by US Bank. Nobody's talking about this. So if we go back to 2008, we already know there were bank closures. There was like a whole sequence of events. But as things were happening, people were notified. Why is nobody talking about bank closures? Like, they're happening. They're starting to happen. It started to happen. It sounds like, from what Stephen George was saying, around the Thanksgiving week. So let me see if I can, pull it up. His video is called "Big Banks Are Closing Branches. Do they know what's to come?" And I captured a screenshot of what he was reading. I don't know the actual article title. Where is it? But basically, he was saying that okay, so let me see if I can read it. It's very small print because I just screen grabbed from his post, from his YouTube channel. So it says, between November 12 and 18, several banks filed to close branch locations. Sorry, it's called PNC, not PNG, my bad. With PNC Bank with the most filings, according to data from the U.S. Office of the Comptroller. Sorry, it's a really small print, I can't read it. Of the currency. Pittsburgh-based PNC Bank filed for 19 branch closures. 5 in Pennsylvania, 4 in Illinois, 3 in Texas, 2 each in Alabama and New Jersey, and 1 each in Indiana, Ohio, and Florida. That's a big bank. PNC is a big bank, is it not? Okay, so I'm just going to go a little more briefly through these other ones. So JP Morgan Chase followed closely with, is that 16 or 18 filings? It looks like 18 filings. Let me see. 3 in Ohio, 2 in Connecticut and South Carolina, and 1 each in 11 states, including New York, Illinois, Florida, and Massachusetts. Citizen Bank came in third with 8 branch closures. Bank of America made 5 filings. Citibank filed for 2 branch closures. Altogether, banks filed to shut down 64 branches. So it's not 64 different banks, it's 65 total branches, but this was between November 12 and November 18. So this is I'm recording this now on December 1st of 2023. So we're like almost about 2 to 3 weeks past this news. And I hadn't heard anything about it. This guy, Stephen George, posted 2 days ago. And I learned about this probably Wednesday. It looks like Wednesday sometime I was watching YouTube and came across this video. It was recommended to me. I never searched him because I don't know him. And it was recommended to me. And then one of my friends mentioned that Union Bank got absorbed by US Bank. That's not even on the list. Now, this article has more on there. I'm not going to read the whole entire thing, but I'm going to try and learn more about this and try to record more about it if I feel like I found something maybe more significant. I'm not a news person. I started to try to check back into Meet Kevin, his videos, because I'm into finance, but I'm not so much into like the classic news. Like I like to hear about the news when things have been kind of more resolved. I don't really like the live like breaking news of stuff because I feel like there's too much manipulation with it. This is my opinion. There's too much manipulation with it, and you get more of a full story of multiple sides later on. Like I feel like whenever you listen to the news, you're hearing a one-sided approach. It's not very diplomatic. It's very like, this person's saying this, and then if you change to this other channel, they're saying this, and like it's hard to really get a full story. And then they sensationalize things and they twist things, and you can't really get a lot of new information right away. But this came out on Wednesday, this guy talking about this news that happened from November 12th to 18th with the bank branch closures. And then I don't know when Union Bank got absorbed by US Bank, but I just heard about that today. And because I was following Meet Kevin, I saw that he has Meet Kevin live on his live channel. He has a separate live channel now. And I was kind of like, I do kind of like, his market open videos. So I kind of was going to go back and watch some of those, and then couldn't find them. And then I was like, that's weird. And then I saw that he had last night, on Thursday night, the last day of November, he had that debate going on. He was live streaming the debate and kind of like commenting on it here and there. And it just, I watched it or listened to it in the background and kind of watched it for like a couple minutes. Like I wouldn't even say I listened to it for 15 minutes. Like I kind of wanted to, but I was like, they just sounded like 5th graders just like bickering back and forth, and it was stressing me out. And I was like, I don't feel like I'm gaining any real knowledge from this. It's just this guy says that guy's lying, and this guy's trying to throw him under the bus, and he's like, they're like tattletale. It's like when 2 kids come to the principal and it's like, well, he did this, and he stole my backpack. It's like, well, he spilled the juice box all over my sandwich, and like, well, he ate my lunch 3 days ago. It's like, liar, you didn't. It's like, well, you stole some construction paper and you put it in your backpack. Like, well, you stole the scissors last year. And like, that's kind of how it feels to me when I listen to these idiots talking. It's like, what are we supposed to gain from that? It's entertainment. It's basically watching like Real Housewives bickering, it's like, that's how I feel. It's entertainment, but it kind of stresses me out because it's supposed to be important, and I'm like, I don't feel like we're learning anything because they're both saying that they're both lying, that the other one's lying, and it's like, well, how am I supposed to know who's lying and who's not lying? They're both lying. They're obviously both lying. So it's like, why am I going to sit and listen to something where 2 people are both lying the whole time? It just gets your mind more confused. But I'm like, well, why aren't they talking about the banks? Like, this sounds important. Do you not remember 2008? Do you not remember the Great Depression? What was going on? The banks failed. They closed. People lost money. People lost pensions. People lost retirement. People lost homes. But nobody's talking about it. Like, people are talking about the housing market and, interest rates, and that's important too. But it's like nobody's talking about the banks. Nobody's talking about them at all. And I don't know why I'm talking about them. I mean, I'm gonna see if this episode gets as many listens as my previous episodes, because that's also going to show something. If this episode gets way less listens, I would recommend people, share what you can. I'm not always talking on here about something that, like, I'm not a financial advisor or anything. I'm interested in things. It's a hobby of interest of mine. I like certain topics, and then I like to podcast about them. But I also like to podcast about propaganda, about the theories behind it and the usage of it. And I see something fishy here, because we're in an age of information. And how come we're not getting this information? The algorithm is not pushing this information. I've seen as much finance information as I have been watching for the last week. I've seen one guy with the video, and this is one guy who I don't even follow, that I never even would have known existed. I'm not saying he's not good or not big, or like, he seems knowledgeable because he has firsthand real world experience of property ownership, and he's talking a lot about properties. Now, I'm going to post that link below. I would recommend, try to watch his video, share this episode, share his video, try to look into more information. I'm going to try and look into more information. I might not have a lot more right now, but I'm going from experiences that I'm having popping up to me. I've only had 2 experiences. One is this guy's video on YouTube coming up, and then another one is somebody that I know personally who told me about the bank that got absorbed. I have not heard this information anywhere else. Nobody else has told me. I also have not searched about it, but I watch a lot of finance people, the Graham Steffens and the Dave Ramseys and the Anthony O'Neills and all these people. Nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about it, to my knowledge. I mean, I'm not watching like a hawk, but I haven't seen any information about it out there anywhere. And I'm curious if it's getting shut down. Now, I'm going to post this episode. I'm going to see if I get less listeners pushed towards this episode, because all my other episodes have like a steady number of engagement. Now, if this one has way less, that's going to be weird. I would recommend try to share this episode with at least one person. That means that it would double. It should potentially double the amount of people who are listening to this episode. Now, I'm not getting any financial gain from this. This is a hobby. I'm on here, because people seem to like the stuff that I've been posting about. So I'm posting about things that I like, assuming that other people like them too. At Theory and Theology, I like to talk about controversial topics. But this is weird to me. This is a weird one. It's a little too weird to be like a pure coincidence. You can tell me what you think. Because maybe my algorithm will shift if I start looking into this content more. But I've had 2 pieces of information come to me. One was this guy, and then the other was from someone I know personally. And nobody else has said a word. It's been quiet, silent all over the internet. I know other people who watch the news. I know other people who really watch the news and really are like up to date on news. And unless I had told them, they haven't even heard anything about it. So 64 bank branches closed 2 weeks ago. Silence. More banks are getting absorbed. I don't know how many. Silence. I don't even know what to say. But keep your eyes open, guys. Keep your eyes open. I'm kind of testing this algorithm stuff and testing this propaganda stuff. And, I'm not saying that the war is not important. I'm not saying that all the wars. I'm not saying that all the, you know, political debates and discussions are important. I'm not saying that the housing market's not important. I'm not saying that holidays aren't important. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's a whole other thing that's important, you know, that nobody's talking about. Like, why is nobody talking about the banks? Is that not important? I would feel like the banks are up there with all this other stuff. It should be just as important. So that's all I have to say for right now. I'm going to look into more information. If I can find more, I will post more. This is not financial advice. You know, I can't tell anybody what to do. But I don't know. We've seen this happen. It's happened in history. It's happened in more recent history. We already knew the banks were going to fail again. I've talked about movies where they've talked about it. If you notice on Netflix, 99 Homes came back up on Netflix this week, I think. It's recently back up on Netflix. I think that's me. So I'll say maybe that's 3, but that's talking more about the housing than the bank. But it's kind of all combined. But, you know, Wolf of Wall Street has been on Netflix, and then The Big Short was free kind of recently on YouTube. So those are some things that I've kind of noticed a little bit in the little circle of things that, like, a little bit has been coming up. And these are movies that I've seen before that I like, because I like that kind of stuff. And so I'm like, oh, this one's free again, and like, oh, this one's up again, and like, you know, but other than that, nobody's talking about it. Crickets, guys. But that's it for now. I'll be back on here. Thanks for listening.